Thomas the Tank Engine was very proud when he was given his own branch line. He had a lot to learn, but he was eager to get started. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, taught him how to pull passengers, and his driver helped Thomas to remember where to stop. But there was one station that Thomas always found difficult. Beyond the tunnel is Hackenbeck halt. There are no signals here. Thomas had to be careful in case there were passengers waiting for him, but when he did have to stop, he overshot the platform every time. Some of the passengers thought it was funny, although some others found it inconvenient. One day, Thomas met kind Edward at the junction. "Hello, Thomas," said Edward. "How are you enjoying your branch line?" "It would be perfect if I knew where to stop," grumbled Thomas. He told Edward all about the halt. "I used to have that problem," smiled Edward, "until I learned a clever trick. What you need to do is find a landmark before the station to remind you when to stop. Then you should be able to stop in the right place without any trouble." Thomas was interested. Will it work? Always. It'll be easy when you know how. Later, Thomas set off to the top station. As he puffed through the tunnel, he remembered Edward's advice. He noticed a stack of hay bales in the field beside the line. "Peep, peep! Brakes, please!" he whistled. The driver put on the brakes, and when Thomas reached the halt, he stopped smoothly at the platform. "It really does work," he puffed happily. So whenever Thomas had to stop at Hackenbeck, he used the hay bales to remember when to slow down, and it worked every time. But one day, Thomas was kept waiting at the junction until James arrived with his train. When he was ready, he tried to make up for lost time. "Don't forget the halt! Don't forget the halt!" warned Danny and Clarabelle. But Thomas wasn't worried. He knew what to do. He whooshed through the tunnel and kept his eyes open for his landmark. He looked and looked, but he couldn't see the hay bales. Suddenly, there was the halt. "Stop, Thomas, stop!" cried the driver. Thomas was surprised. He stopped so quickly that the coaches bumped into him. "Oh, oh, oh!" they cried. "Bother!" groaned Thomas. None of the passengers found it amusing this time. Everyone was very cross and started grumbling at once. Bump that was. Who do we complain to? I want my money back. At the top station, they indeed complained to the station master. "I'm sorry, sir," sighed Thomas. "I didn't see the hay bales." And he told him what Edward said. The station master laughed. "You are a silly engine," he said kindly. When Edward said to find a landmark, he meant something like a building or a tree. Something that's always in the same place. Those hay bales must have been taken away by the farmer, and that's why you couldn't see them. "Oh," said Thomas sadly. "Don't worry," smiled his driver. "No harm done. Now we know what to do for next time, don't we?" In the end, Thomas and his driver used a workman's hut to remind them when to stop at Hackenbeck halt. And they soon learned how easily.